This is J. Krishnamurti's first discussion with teachers in Saanen, 1967.
This is supposed to be an educational discussion. And as you have probably heard the announcement that it is our intention to start a school in Holland. And the purpose of this educational gathering is to bring about a group of teachers who are willing to create this school. And we are very serious about it. It isn't a casual venture in the dark. But we have very carefully thought over what is necessary, along what lines, and so on. And perhaps we could, this morning, talk over what we mean by education. Not only this morning, but we are going to meet a whole week to discuss the problems of education after the discussions are over. When is the date? Do you remember? 10th. From the 10th to the 17th, 16th of August. A whole week to discuss what we all think is necessary to bring about a school and a right education with the right teacher. So could we this morning begin by discussing what we mean, what is right education, if there is such thing. And I think we have to be serious about this matter, as we said about everything that we touch. Because if we are not serious, life has very little meaning. One can flit about various things and enjoy this or that. But I'm afraid such casual interest will only create more mischief and ugly results. So when we are talking over together this question of education, we ought to be as serious as when we talk over meditation, fear, or any other thing. So that being clear, can we go into this? We can probably discuss this question more profitably if we could find out what is not the right education. If we could, through negation, come to the positive. Because so many experts, both in Russia and America and in Europe, have established statistically what is necessary in schools, in colleges, bearing in mind that a given a society with its particular demands must provide the human material to fulfill those demands. Society demands clever engineers, expert technicians who can function with electronic brains, who will specialize in creating armaments, plan future wars, plan a good society in which there is no poverty, no second-class citizen. And this has been worked out very carefully. Not that I've read them, but I know something about it through various meetings through other people. So there is this demand of society, enormous demand, and the human material is made to conform to that demand. Be a first-class MSc or PhD, or a good businessman, or an advertising expert to bamboozle the people, or bring about a state of mind that's only concerned with mechanical things. And of course, there is the organization called religion, which is not religion, which breeds certain type of mentality. And so on, so on. And is that right kind of education? Though, bearing in mind that one has to live in this world, one has to earn a livelihood. When society emphasizes a particular pattern, and everything is directed to that, then you deny the whole human psyche, his nature, his all that, what one might call, not in the wrong, in a religious mind. That is denied. The religious mind, we mean not the religious mind of the churches, of the mosques, or the temple. So, can we, by negating what is not right education, come upon what is the right education? I hope I'm making... Can we discuss this? Look, sirs, most of us are so-called educated. We've been to school, perhaps some of us to college, have a profession, and so on. We have lived in a society which is very competitive, a society that maintains and sustains war. War, not only economic war, but a war that kills, destroys. And we have accepted that as the norm, as the way of life. If anyone does not accept it, as some of the pacifists do, then they have a pretty bad time. Either we conform through education to the pattern of society, or we understand the structure of society, be educated, and yet not conform, which doesn't mean that we become hippies, beatniks. Take to drugs. And I think this is fairly important to discuss, whether it is possible in the modern world to bring about human beings who are not conditioned. Conditioned by society, by their parents, by the environment. Who, being free, can and will probably live in this society or create a new society. You know, there have been schools in India with which we are connected, both one in the north and one in the south. We're trying all these things there, little bit. And when we meet together to discuss this question of education, I think we ought to bear in mind what it is that we want. Not only the parent, but the teacher, and together find out if it is possible to bring about a new school, a new type of education altogether, which provides not only academically higher standard, but also through teaching to cultivate the brain so that it is capable of not only functioning technologically, but being able to not only function at the highest technological level, but also to be aware inwardly. to bring about a society or a group of people who are concerned not only with the material things which one must, but about inward things. Not some crazy, fantastic, freaky things. But inward clarity, a sense of righteousness, and so on. Now, is this at all possible? Are you interested in education, all this stuff? Sûrement.
Un nouveau mode d'éducation puisse contribuer à l'épanouissement des individus, c'est un fait intéressant, mais vous avez écrit dans un de vos ouvrages sur l'éducation que le vrai problème d'éducation était l'éducation des éducateurs. Il me semble qu'effectivement c'est le point le plus important avant de...
The question is how to educate the educator first. The educator is not only the parent, but also the teacher. And are we, the questioner asks, concerned with the development or the unfolding of the individual? Right? You see again, if we are talking very seriously, and I hope we are, what is an individual? Right? What is an individual? Are you an individual? Huh? Comment?
Un être humain avant d'être un individu.
Ah, wait, sir. No. Do think about this. Are we, you and I, each one of us, individuals? We mean by an individual a unique entity, right? No? Or merely the product of a society, of a culture. Which implies we are both the society and the individual. Not something totally outside this field of society and the individual. You follow? How can we be an individual if there is in us competitiveness, brutality, aggressiveness, the desire for power, all the things which society has built? Are we then, if we are that, are we individuals? Or we may think we are individuals because we have different body and bank account or my family and all that petty little stuff and say, I'm an individual. So, when we talk about unfolding of the individual, is that the right phrase? First of all, is that the right word? Or are we concerned with bringing about a human being who is neither an individual or the collective. Something beyond both. I wonder, that's quite an important thing to discuss.
Something not static, individual, fixed.
Come on.
Something not static, but facing life as it will.
No. No, sir, don't define it yet. Sir, look, the communist says only the collective is important. And every form of individual freedom, individual in the sense ordinarily accepted individuality, every form of freedom is denied to him. He can't think what he likes, he can't read, he can't write what he likes, he must conform to the pattern set by the commissars, by the Politburo and all the rest of it, the authority. And when you deny freedom, obviously the human entity kicks against it. And that's what's happening, a revolt against established order, both in the communist world and in the capitalist world. Right? So, the world so far has divided itself into the individual and the collective, the society. The individual is always in battle with society, though conforming. Right? This is fairly clear. This is what's happening, isn't it? No? I like to have everything that society can give me: position, power, prestige, a family, money, and yet I am against society because it prevents me from doing something. Now, are we educating? Is education merely to bring about a greater individuality who is in opposition to the collective, or give emphasis to the collective and deny the individual? Right, sir? Or are we concerned with neither, but something entirely different, which is not an individuality in the sense, me first and everybody else to hell, as it is now, or the society, everything, and you, nothing? I don't know. Or, if we don't accept those two, which is an immense thing to understand, then there is a possibility of creating a human entity who is neither this petty little individuality with all its nauseating little problems, or the collective who says, I am the absolute authority, you must obey. Which the church does in its own way, and the state does in its own way. Are we getting this clear? Am I making myself clear? So, when we talk about individuality and his flowering, to me that sounds so, it has no meaning. It's such a hackneyed phrase. Are we concerned with that in education, the development of the individual and his flowering? Or are we concerned with the collective, with the society, in which the educated individual fits in, as he does now? Or are we concerned with something entirely different? A human being who is neither an individual nor the collective. He is a human being. I don't know, huh? Sava? And is that possible? If that is not possible, then we will continue with wars, with the nationalities, with hatreds, antagonism, and all the brutality of modern civilization. Only more and more and more refined. Perhaps not such destructive wars, but little wars here and there, but economic wars going on. So, to discuss this question, we must first be very clear what it is you want your children to be, if you have children. Or perhaps they're all grown up and you say, oh, I'm very interested in education because I have no problem. You follow? My children are grown up and married and I can casually discuss about education. Because I won't touch my family, because I can't. My children are grown up and they have their own life, and you know. Either we discuss this thing very, very seriously, or don't let us talk about it at all, casually. I mean, as we have said during all these talks, one has to be dreadfully serious about all these things. And education is an extraordinarily important thing. So, what is it you want of your child, or what is it you want as an educator or as a person with a family?
Surely we can see that we don't want that the children become like we are. That means both the individual and the collective with all the defects. But being what we are, that means the individual and the collective, how can we find out without first doing the work with ourselves, how to educate and not give them...
The questioner says, how can we, who are both the individual and the collective, how can we, without first freeing ourselves from this pattern of the individual and the collective, how can we talk about education, right? You have understood the question? Yeah? Right. Now, will you wait till you are free of the individual and the society before you can educate? Or, as you are educating not only the student, but you're also educating yourself. And therefore it's a relationship in which both the educator and the educated are freeing themselves from the pattern. Huh? If we wait till we arrive, if we wait till we come upon this freedom, then of course we can wait forever and everything will be as it is. But isn't there a possibility of learning together, the educator and the educated, while you are teaching the child or the student, you're also learning. So this is, please, this requires really not casual thinking. This one has to go into this very deeply. That is, sir, if you had a school, if there is a school of that kind, you may give as a teacher information, knowledge to the student. But the way you teach the child, the student, will depend upon your state of mind. Naturally. Right? I wonder, am I talking to just hot air? You know, there have been so many progressive schools throughout the world. And they're generally dismal failures. Not that the people who began it were not very dedicated and all the rest of it, but something goes wrong. Generally what goes wrong is that they become rather successful. And then money-minded, and then God saved. So, is it possible to bring about a different human being who is capable of functioning technologically as good as anybody, academically the highest standards, and yet have a different quality of mind? A mind that is fundamentally religious, which doesn't mean it belongs to Catholicism, Hinduism, all that stupid stuff, but really religious. And therefore lives a life of great simplicity, austerity. Though he may ride in a most expensive car or live it, but all that is nothing. Is that possible? Yes, sir.
The question that comes to one's mind is first, do we really want our children to be educated like that? Aren't we afraid of this
Yes.
new man?
The questioner says, do we really want such a kind of education? Aren't we really frightened to bring about such a man? It's for you to answer, sir. Would you send your child to such a school? Attendez. Yes, you see, who answered? The older people, who have probably no children, or their children are married somewhere else. Would you really seriously send your child, if you have one, to such a school? Please, it's a very dangerous question. Don't answer it quickly. He may be complete failure. You follow? He may not fit into your society. He may not be capable of earning a cent. He may be completely vague. He may write some shoddy little poems. No, sir, do watch it. Or he may live on other people, or he may be an extraordinary individual, extraordinary human being, not individual. Is one willing to risk one's child, to risk putting a child in such a school where the demands are not the usual demands? Where the academical standard will be the highest, whether it is the MIT or Caltech or whatever it is, that it must be that. We want that. And also we want quite a different mind. Also, a mind that's capable of meditation, capable of going beyond itself, not through drugs and hashish and STP and marijuana and all that. Yes, sir.
So why do you think that a child from such a school might be inefficient and very vague?
Why do you think a child from such a school might be inefficient and vague? I didn't say he will be, but he might be. And the parents then will say, my God, what have you produced? You know what is happening in Russia, in a certain, I think it's in Siberia or somewhere, where they're collecting the highest type of technological minds that can educate the student completely technologically. You understand? There is no distinction of race, color, and all that stuff. They want to produce an entity who will be technologically in any direction the best. And there are those schools in Rome and in other places where theology is taught for them to become priests. And function very cleverly in a society with the background of Christianity, Catholicism, all that. And there are the progressive schools, hundreds of them throughout the world, who attempt to bring about a more civilized human being. We know all this. I mean, this is quite everyday matter. But what we are, what we intend to do, what we will do, if we can, is to produce, is to bring about or help to bring about a different human being. Is that all? Is what? Yes, madam.
Religion in your terminology in such a new school?
What is, in your terminology, religion? What do you mean by religion? Not my terminology, not my jargon, but what do we mean by religion? That's the questioner says. What do I mean by it? You mean what the speaker means by religion? Certainly, it has nothing to do with dogma, with belief, with rituals, with organized propaganda called religion. So, if one can deny that completely, then we are face to face with what you are. When you strip yourself of all this propaganda of centuries and centuries, when you strip all that, then you are what you are. Ugly, beautiful, dull, stupid, aggressive, violent. And to understand that and to go far beyond above that. And to bring up, and in that very understanding, to bring about a mind that's very quiet, that's very still. And in that stillness to come upon, not as thought, in that quietness there is a state which cannot be put into words, which is of no time or space. That is the religious mind of which we are talking about. We will go into that perhaps during the next two talks and in the discussions that are to follow. But we are concerning this morning with education, not only this morning but from the 10th on. That's what we ask, sir. The questioner asks, are we willing to educate our children this way?
No. The question, if we will be willing, is dependent on whether we are willing to do it ourselves.
Yes, of course. Whether you yourself as the parent willing to educate yourself and also educate the child. That's up to you, sir. I mean what?
Why is it necessary to turn out the most efficient technocrats in this school?
Why is it necessary to turn out in this so-called education a first-class technician? We said we will give him the opportunity to be a technician. He might not want to be. We'll give him the highest academic teaching. But he might not want to go along that line, and there might be somebody else that wants to. So, look, I might want to be a gardener, and I certainly don't want to be a technocrat and electronic brain expert, but I would like to be a gardener. And I'd like to be a first-class gardener. I'd like to know this about the soil, whether it's acid or not, what kind of fertilizer is necessary, and so on. So I'd like to know everything about it. And to know everything about it, I must have a mind that's capable of understanding it. An efficient, clear mind. And if it is the right kind of school, right kind of education, it will help me to have that. And it will help another to have a mind that is capable of the highest form of technological knowledge and at the same time other quality. You wouldn't deny the student that and only this. So look, science in different form has existed before throughout the world. The Hindus discovered the cipher. The Muslims discovered, I forget something. And so on and on and on. Centuries of accumulation of knowledge, which has culminated in the atom and further. You won't deny all that. One may misuse all that. As it is, we do misuse it to destroy people. Or one can use all that to bring about a different world so that man will have great leisure. And having that leisure not merely for entertainment and football, churches and amusement and go to concerts and museums, but have leisure to go into a different world of silence, beauty and all that. See, that's one of our problems in the world. Man is going to have more and more leisure. And what will he do with that leisure? Spend the whole of that leisure on entertainment, boating, cycling, going to football games, reading books, concerts, going up museum, one museum after others, all outward, outward, outward. Or will he also take a journey inwardly? Not through drugs and all that, but without any form of stimulation to go deeply inwardly, where the riches are untold, riches that can never be corrupted. Well, it's up to you, sirs. Of course, of course. The questioner says great importance is laid on technological flowering and not on other things at all. Other things are being denied. But they are trying to, even the postgraduates are trying to expand their mind by reading various foreign literature. But that's, That's not what we intend. That's not what we're going to do. Killer, I think. Is that enough for this morning? Madam, do we, in a school of this kind which we are going to found, will examination exist? Madam, that cannot be discussed like this. Huh? We have gone into it. Please, this isn't the first time that we are discussing this. In India, there is the principal of the school from South India, where I go every year for a month. We have discussed all these problems. Whether the examinations should be once when they leave, otherwise they can't go into college and all the rest of it, or and so on in great details. But that we can discuss that with those people who are really interested in schools, in education, and whether those people who are interested in this education will help to bring about a different kind of school. I'm not saying that we shouldn't discuss it, but we will when the time comes.
How do you be sure that the child will not receive this new teaching or new being as another conditioning? Because you give something real to a child, the child must be open. And we cannot be sure that every child wishes to be open.
Yes. How do you know that you are not conditioning the child in a different way? You know, if you cultivate intelligence and help the student to be very critical, not about somebody, but about himself. To be aware critically of himself. To criticize, to question, to ask. Then perhaps, in that way, he can maintain, he can sustain his freedom and not merely accept a new conditioning. Because if it is a new conditioning, it's not education at all of which you are talking about. That's why one has to educate the educator. And that education of the educator takes place in the school itself, not outside the school. And therefore the educator must be extraordinarily intelligent, wanting to work at this whole thing. Is that enough? I believe we meet tomorrow morning, not as educational meeting, but something else.